I don't think my story is unique to Africans. I was buying school uniform, which was cheap. I think with 80 cedis by then, I could sew a school uniform for a kid, so I could do things. But I wanted to do more. I didn't want to just give them school uniforms. I wanted to build a school. Once you've gotten the formula, it's just a replication. You know why I say that? Because I was born in Accra. I knew growing up, my mom and dad were in Accra.
Yeah.
Right? And I knew the conditions I had to go through in the village. So to me, it was never fair. The day we turned it on, actually, it poured rain, heavy rain. Our whole office was flooded. The gutter in front of office was flooded to like my belly button. I think I was hurt for the fact that my vision were being I'm like, yeah, if I go into pigs, the breeds already exist. People know. Cattle, they're already big. But goats, nobody cares. They call it the poor man's cow. Just seeing the animals grazing, interacting, different things, different issues coming up, solving. Like seeing their growth, seeing their lineage, perfecting their genetics. These are all things that I deal with on a daily basis.
What's your backstory?
Backstory. Grew up and born. I'll give you a quick summary. So, born and raised in Ghana in a small village called Senase in the Bono region of Ghana. Moved to Accra after high school. Hustle on the street. Started my first company at 18. A travel and tour company. To that, got myself educated and got a scholarship. I studied in Turkey. So one thing most people don't know is I speak Turkish, but a very rough Turkish now. Then moved to London, studied in London, then moved to the US, completed my education in the US. Then moved back to Ghana.
Fred, you're taking a lot of things out of this story. The details of, how, look, what was your upbringing like?
Wow.
Growing up?
Yeah.
What was your home like?
That's like, I don't think my story is unique to Africans because, it's a daily life to us. It's normal, but I grew up in a very interesting, but also very disciplined and good home, depending on how you look at it. I was raised by an auntie, with about 15 children. We all stay in one room. We hadn't built our house then. So in a very small village where there was no lights growing up, there was no TV, very remote. My first classroom, I can remember, was a tree, under a tree. So I got to a point where I've gotten to the highest of the grade in our village. So I had to go to Brekum, which now it looks shorter, but when I was a kid, it was like at least 1.5 hours walk from my village to go to Brekum and continue education from grade 6. So that was the beginning. You go to school. After school, you go to the farm and help your mom out, carry firewood back, the next day go to school in the morning. And I think at some point, early stage, we were doing morning and afternoon. So if your school was in the afternoon, you go to farm in the morning. If it's in the morning, you go to farm in the afternoon, So that's the kind of childhood I had, but I was very fortunate to have parents who really cared about education. Among all my siblings, I think I've been the only one who have been to university. And my mom, who raised me, shout out to her, has raised, the last time I counted, about 54 children.
Wow.
Yes, all from different mothers and different parents, different communities. And that's what she also does. And she does it with so much passion, with so much love. And I think that's her calling as well. So I think, yes, that's the kind of home. I don't know.
I was reading your bio.
Yeah.
And one of your lovely assistants sent it to us.
Yeah.
And there were a few things in there about how you had the ambition to further your education, but then the means were not there.
Yeah.
And one way or the other, the universe created a way.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think that was when I moved to Accra. So I moved to Accra. I had admission into Legon, but obviously I couldn't afford it. So, I ended up on the streets of Accra. So I did different things. I sold, everything you can think of, everything I can lay my hands on. And I think Oxford Street, was my sport. So, some of the guys out there who were like, try to sell you craft and everything, like that was me.
You were one of them.
Yeah, man. That was me back then. Did a lot of that. Did different things, for then time Zane had come to Ghana new. I used to sell phones for Zane, and I was making a 1 cedis per each phone that I would sell. But I was also their best seller. I could sell 12 phones in a day, which was like mind blowing. Through that, they took me to Cape Coast to a festival to go and sell phones there. I went, did justice to that. But whilst I was there, I had the opportunity to visit the Cape Coast Castle and meet a lot of foreigners. And I was like, that was when it clicked for me about tourism. And I was like, why are people coming to Ghana? And I will ask them, what are they coming to do? They said they're either traveling on a tour or to volunteer. And the question to me was, why wouldn't you do this in my village? But rather stay in the coast where I feel like it's more developed. Because in my village, my friends were dropping out of school because they didn't have pencil, book, school uniform, basic things. So right there, I was like, how can I combine tourism with impact? So how can I take people like the people I'm meeting every day on the street into my community and use it to develop the community? So right there, I started learning about tourism, and that's when I started my first travel company. And one day on the street, I met a group of white people who says, can you help us find restaurant? I was like, let me put what I'm selling down and I can come. I put it down. I came back. There were about 12 people and I took them to a restaurant. They asked me, what do I want to do in life? I told them my vision about going into tourism. They said, start with me. Start with us, take us around. So I took them in a trotro to Labadi Beach, to Kwame Nkrumah Museum. That day I didn't sell anything, but I enjoyed the moment. Like you said, like connected minds, like the kind of information or discussion I was having with them was something I've never had. It was deep. I could see it's at the next level. I really enjoyed it. I was like, this will be a good thing. I want to meet more people like this. So it really inspired me when it came to tourism. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go get some certificate programs in tourism and do. So I went to Gimpa Hot Cut, did about 3 months ground handling, 3 months tour guiding, 3 months tour operation. And then I started my first company from Facebook. So yeah, in a year, I was already clocking thousands of dollars, from tens of thousands of dollars from Facebook, at a very young age, just targeting people who wants to come to Ghana and marketing the beauty of what I can do, which is authentic experience in rural villages whilst giving back to the communities. So in 2010, I sent the first group to my village. We built a water system for the village. We did so many different things. One day I was there, a woman reached out to me on Facebook and said, hey, I've read a lot of, blog posts and stuff about you, and I want to come to Ghana. And when I come to Ghana, I want to do something like what you do, authentic. And I was like, great. So she came with the family and friends, and we went, but we spent only 3 days in the village. So we couldn't even talk about it. The moment she got back, she called me and said, I've seen the amazing work you're doing. And my husband and myself, we want to sponsor you, get education anywhere of your choice.
Wow.
Yes. So that's how I was able to get back to school.
Pause a second. It is the individual that you are. It is the path that you set yourself on. People saw that. And everybody had no option than to come in to help you.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. Such a beautiful story.
Thanks.
So you didn't end up going to the university?
No.
Here?
No.
You quit?
Yeah.
And then got on the street?
Yeah.
Started selling?
Yeah.
Became a tour guide?
Yeah.
Set up a tour company?
Yeah.
Then someone reached out to you to support you through education.
Yeah.
Connected minds. yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And you know, you're a pretty hardworking guy. And I think a lot of people that see you, when I watch your videos, I could see passion,
Yeah.
you know, behind what you do.
Sure.
And, you know, when a man decides to add desire and passion together, the world has no option than to clear the path for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's certainly something I see. You know, I've read your bio several times because it's beautiful to read.
Thank you.
You know?
Shout out to my wife.
She wrote it. She wrote it. Right. Yeah. No, she did a great job.
Yeah.
It's the accolades. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So what happened then?
So yes, I ended up in London, you know, and studied in London for 2 years. Then, you know, they became like family to me. So I will, you know, they'll spend Christmas in the US and spend New Year's with me in London, you know, and then go back. So it was back and forth, and we decided, why don't I just move to the US? So I applied to a couple of universities, obviously got accepted into or picked University of San Diego, the private university, beautiful campus. Got there, started studying, you know, took every opportunity that I can, conferences, invitations, entrepreneurship. But one of the organizations that I was key in was the Changemaker Society, which is basically how do we make impact in the world. And through that, I think when I was in London, after I traveled to London and started seeing the education, how different is it from, you know, what I'm used to in my village, I started developing a strong passion for education. So I decided I was going to cut all the philanthropic work I was doing and focus only on education and just support people in rural communities. So I started the first charitable club on campus. And the goal was there was a time where through my travel company and my charity, we actually donated maybe about 300 school uniforms across government schools in Ghana, in the Ashanti region, in my village as well. And then I wanted to do more. So I said, okay, I've visited a lot of villages and their school structure and so on. So I wanted to build a school for my community. So I went ahead to build a 3 classroom by selling T-shirts on campus, food on campus, build a 3 classroom.
Nah, step on that. Selling T-shirts and what?
Croissants.
Okay,
you know, everything.
Talk about that.
So
a bit
it's just
more, because
so you're a student.
those are the baby steps that you need.
Yeah. So, you know, I was buying school uniform, which was cheap. You know, I think with 80 cedis by then, I could sew a school uniform for a kid. So I could do things, but I wanted to do more. I didn't want to just give them school uniforms. I wanted to build a school for them. So I got a few people join my club from all over the world, and then we started fundraising on campus, printing T-shirts called Hot Rice. It's still, that organization is still running in my university now, you know, but I founded that, and we will create T-shirts early morning, you know, cold, we'll go out, sell breakfast and tea, like anything for students to buy, professors to buy, and that money will go into the charity. You know, so together with a few friends from the US as well, who also had a foundation, you know, we're both basically working to build this school. So finally, we were able to build the 3 classrooms for the village. But fast forward, I went into the school and realized that it wasn't sustainable. The upkeeping of the school, you know, wasn't going the right direction. The maintenance, like people weren't taking care of it. I had an issue where it was an exams week. The headmaster hadn't come to school, and therefore the kids weren't writing exams. Meanwhile, these kids were traveling from different villages, some walking 2 hours, 3 hours to come to school, you know, and I was like, that's not right. For me to create something sustainable, I need to build something that I can have full control of, you know. So that is when I started an idea in the US and said I was going to build a self-sustainable, affordable, and accessible school. The goal was to build it across all rural villages in Ghana, starting with my village. So I went there and I started with 3 classrooms with 120 students, built a beautiful campus Kids enjoyed it. And fast forward, we are 9 years now. We have about 700 students in that school. We wrote our first BEC this year, just a couple of weeks ago, right? So that was when I was in school in San Diego. So I was doing that alongside, and then you
know how school was sold to me. When you said you had to, people have to travel, they have to walk miles and miles to get to school. I had to do that too. And the motivation to do that was because I was told that the only way that I could become wealthy is if I go to school.
Wow.
That was how it was sold to us. For your future.
Yeah.
So go to school.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it's just rained and then the roads are muddy, but we still have to go through that. To get to school.
Yeah.
Just because of the future.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job in that village, man.
You're welcome, man. Welcome. I think, you can do everything for people, but to give them knowledge, that's how we end the cycle of poverty.
Yeah.
It's by empowering the people with knowledge.
Brother, because of education, the two of us are sitting here and that's our common ground.
Exactly.
And if I or you did not go to school to the level where you have, it would have been very, very impossible for us to sit and have intellectual conversations like this.
Yes, that's true. So it's the elevation, it elevates people from level to level.
Yeah.
So if we really want to end that cycle of poverty that going around, we need to be able to level a certain generation up that cycle, and to me, that's why I chose education, because I think if I can give anything back to the community that raised me, it has to be the mind, So yeah.
There was a day I did a podcast episode. And my mom was downstairs. So I went to her and I said, do you know that because of education, I'm having rich men's kids come to my house to do a podcast? That would have never happened.
Yeah.
So let's keep educating them.
Yes.
Which is why farming in Africa is educating farmers. Beautiful. Now, what's your plan for the school?
I think... So the goal initially was to build more schools. And then I decided, no, education, I'm so passionate about this that I can't just build it and say I have 5 schools. I have 10 schools, Let me go through the entire system to the end so that I can better understand it. Groom well-quality teachers, understand the process before I replicate it. Once you've gotten the formula, it's just a replication. If you know addition, whether it's 2 + 2 or 1 + 1 is the same formula. So I wanted to get that. And thanks be to God, this year is the year where we've actually moved from nursery 1 all the way to grade 9, which is JSS 3 here. So now I need to take a step back. Say, have we figured everything from nursery 1 to grade 9? And if we have, do we have the capacity to replicate that into another community and go change another 700 students in that community? So that's the next step. But the goal is really to be able to tie that lower level into agriculture. So building a higher grade, but focusing on agriculture as well.
You come across us. We spent almost a day together. Almost.
Yeah.
Collectively, maybe we spent about 24 hours together.
Yeah.
And I've seen Fred in the light where I want to ask him a question because I want to understand what he really thinks about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What drives you?
What drives me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of... I just think there are people that are just born with a drive, because I think the impact to me is like, what is next and who benefits from the next.
Okay.
Right? Like I drove almost 14 hours yesterday from the north to Accra. Right? And then I woke up today. I was like, what is next? What else can we do? Yeah, your body might feel, but like, what else can this body do today? And how does it benefit the next?
But what is behind you? What is chasing you to do that? I mean,
what is chasing me is a very good question.
Yeah.
I've been getting that very a lot. Bro, I've asked myself too, because it's not the money. There is so many times that I just do things without even knowing. Like, one of my team members asked me, how much is this person paying for this? And I said, I don't know. And he's like, and you're going to do it? It's like, it's agriculture. Like, I'm going to do it. So it's not, I know very well it's not the money. But that's a question I also ask myself, Ben, is
I really want the answer for this question. Because but maybe you're right. Maybe it's inbuilt. Maybe you were born with it. Maybe. I don't know. But there must be something out there that makes you want to wake up every morning to be entrepreneurial, to be a change maker, to want to see people do well. There must be something.
Definitely. But I think if I look deep, I think it's from my background, where I grew up. You know why I say that? Because I was born in Accra. I knew growing up, my mom and dad were in Accra.
Yeah.
Right? And I knew the conditions I had to go through in the village. So to me, it was never fair. And my mom once told me something a day where I cried from the farm. It was me carrying a heavy firewood. And I couldn't. I cried. I don't think I've ever told this story, but I cried. And my mom said something. He says, I'm making you strong so that one day when you join your brothers or your family in Accra, you'll be stronger. And I didn't, it pissed me off actually. I can imagine. But I think I wanted myself out of that. I wanted myself out of that poverty, that hardship, you know. So I work for it, but I don't think it's what gets me up today.
Right.
Yes.
Do you get worried sometimes that everything you've worked for may vanish in thin air? For that reason, you have to keep going?
No. That's the least. I've had partnerships where it didn't work out, where I had to let go. I've had issue with people. I'm always ready to start again because I think I'm much smarter. I'm much capable. If I'm supposed to start everything life again, I think I will be much more successful, quicker. So that fear of things going down, no. If I'm supposed to start a YouTube channel again, I think I will move faster. If I'm supposed to start any business again, I think the people I know, the experience I've had. So no, I don't at all. Maybe the answer will come.
Maybe the answer will come. When you said about the firewood.
Yes.
And, you know, it just took me back to the time where I was in a boarding school. I was 8 years.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm a pretty short guy, right? So I was very small.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had this aluminum bucket.
Yes.
That thing was about half my size, man. And, you know, the water in our barrel was not flowing. And we had to travel 30 minutes to get to a stream and get some water, some muddy water.
Yeah.
I got the water. I was only able to get a quarter of the bucket, right?
Because it's too heavy.
I carried it. Now, that 30 minutes, when I came, I lost half of what I had.
Oh, yeah. It's bouncing
left, right, center. And I still had to leave it there for 30 minutes for it to settle. Then I can bath with a cup or two. Terrible. These things keep me thinking that I never want to see those things around me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to go through that anymore. I don't want to die and come back again in that situation anymore. For that reason, whatever it is I can do today, for myself, for my family, and for the community, I must make sure I get that done.
Exactly.
We are up to a task. We have a mission.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for your mission. Uber Ghana launch. After all, things that you've done, where did the launching of Uber Ghana come in?
So the launch of Uber Ghana started from when I was in London. When I had the education vision or mindset, I also had an idea for transportation. So I decided to bring taxis together. So I started a company called Blah Blah Taxi. And the goal was to bring enough taxis into Ghana from Europe. And if I'm able to bring enough, and I started this work and pay thing. So the drivers will work for some time, they will own the cars. But then after they've owned the cars, I don't get any revenue. But the next thing is to connect them together because now they have a good quality car, right? That is neat, that people need. So then I can bring them together and connect them to the market. And this was my idea. So I pitched it to a professor who was American. By then, I don't know if Uber was even in London. And then he asked me, have you heard of the company called Uber? And I said, no. And it's like, you should look them up. They are doing something like that. So I was like, okay. So I think I did, but fast forward, I was just bringing my car. So I brought maybe almost 20 cars to Ghana whilst I was studying in London. And they were all being taxi, doing work and pay and so on. And then I had a trip through my travel company, students that I had talked to about this business as well. And he had come back to Ghana to do an internship with the US Embassy in Ghana. So I was there. He reached out and said, hey, I was at the office today and I heard Uber is coming to Ghana. So I've just recommended you to them because I think it's very similar to what you're trying to do. I was like, really? It's like, yeah. So there I got an email saying you've been recommended. Send us this and this and this. So I sent everything that I've got. And then there was an interview scheduled. It was a full day interview from morning to evening. I think I spoke to about 8 or 10 people from different countries. It was like brain draining. They went through that day. Then in 3 weeks' time, they got back to me, gave me another set of interview, then gave me a test that I had to take online, passed all that. Then they reached out to me and said, are you ready to go to Ghana? I said, I'm still a student. I have 1 semester to finish. They said, no, we need you in Ghana next week. By then, I was living in San Francisco. I said, I have my apartment paid for 1 year. I'm living downtown San Francisco, of course. And they're like, no, we will pay for your apartment. You need to get on a plane, go to Ghana. We will bring people to your house, pack your things. We'll pay for everything. We'll ship your couch, your bed, everything to Ghana so that you can go and do this. So I talked to my professor and he's like, are you asking me? Get out and go, So my professor, my dean was like, take the opportunity and go. So I quit school, flew to Ghana on the, I think it was 13th of May. Flew to Ghana and then, they packed everything, shipped my couch, everything back to me. In the contract, they said in 1 year time, they will bring me back and let me finish my degree and then come back. I said, okay. So I came to Ghana. When I came to Ghana, there was a gentleman from Canada who was like, what she does is she supports growing markets to grow and launch. So he was my immediate person to work with. We have a few part-time workers. So I was there, thrown into it. They said, build it. This is for you now. So started recruitment, part-timers, both rider side, doing events, everything. And then lucky for us, on the 9th of June, we were able to turn the app on. The day we turned it on, actually, it poured rain, heavy rain. Our whole office was flooded. The gutter in front of office was flooded to my belly button. And the drivers were stuck at the end of it. Every driver from Uber who was there from day one will testify to this. I had to take my pants off, take my shirt off in my boxer, carry my bag, walk through that dam of water, cross it to the other side, organize all the drivers at Asanka Locals restaurant. That's why I turned all of them on. And then, it's Uber. The moment we turned it on, rides started coming in. Drivers were leaving Asanka Locals to go pick. They were like, is this real? Is this a natural person asking for it? Day by day, man, grew Uber to what it is today.
I'm learning everything bit by bit. And again, I've learned another thing. It is who you are and who you've decided to be in this world. And everything you're saying is people connect with you.
Yeah.
You know, they can see your vision, they can see who you are, and they just throw opportunities at you. But the beautiful thing is that you're always ready. Right? So if you're listening today and you find this story inspiring, we cannot be afraid, you know. We can choose to be if we want
a better version.
A better version, you know. So let's not get too stuck in our ways and our one way of thinking. And if you haven't subscribed, please do become part of the family and stay connected.